The court will now hear the case of the State of New Jersey versus Pat Hopper, indictment number 10-11-00110. Counsel?
Counsel, ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes?
It's against Jordan Abrams.
I got it wrong. Jordan Abrams.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
We assumed as much.
Yes,
We're calling the correct. The case that you have prepared is the one we
Yes.
are hearing today. That's not in courtroom 12 down the hall. We
It's okay, we all assumed as much. Good morning, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm Jay Granson, and this is my co-attorney, Tyler Piper. Chris Pavano is an upstanding citizen of the Cranberry Shores, one who saves lives and helps those in need. He was even awarded a key to the city for saving a drowning child. He has overall been a positive influence in the Cranberry Shores community. Now, you think he's headed for great things today. So where is he? 6 feet underground, actually. So how did this happen? It was not by accident, nor an act of God. It happened as a result of the cold-blooded malice of the defendant, Jordan Abrams. Mr. Abrams is infamous in his community for his hatred of local surfers, such as Chris Pavano. On the night of August 30th, 2013, Chris Pavano and his friends were enjoying a night on the beach when they decided to move into one of the homes that had been wrecked by Superstorm Sandy. When they attempted to enter an abandoned house in such a condition, they were met with a terrified scream of help from the defendant. Pavano, ever concerned, decided to take it upon himself to go inside and investigate. And when he did so, he was met with a cold bullet from the stairwell. Prior, the defendant had heard the group of children enter the property and had decided to take his own special brand of vigilante justice and execute what he viewed as the local surfer pests that had been ruining his reputation. The evidence will show that Mr. Abrams is guilty of 5 counts. 1, he committed first-degree murder against Chris Pavano. 2, he committed first-degree aggravated manslaughter against Chris Pavano. 3, he committed second-degree reckless manslaughter against Pavano. 4, he was in possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose. And 5, Abrams completely failed to report a death. The state will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Jordan Abrams acted not in self-defense, but in revenge. To do this, we will be presenting 3 witnesses to you today. Our first witness is Detective Carrie Fieler, who was a first responder to the scene and will be testifying to the events of the night in question. Our second witness, Detective Jerry Singer, arrived at the scene shortly after Detective Fieler and will be testifying to the veracity of the statements of Detective Fieler, as well as to the placement of the shots of the night in question. Our third witness is Lauren Lucas, who is an eyewitness to the shooting itself and will be testifying to the events of the night in question. The state will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Jordan Abrams is in fact guilty of all 5 counts, and the evidence will show that Jordan Abrams acted with malicious intent. Let me ask you, members of the jury, should trying to help someone in a dark room be punished with death? The answer is no. Thank you.
Thank you. Opening? Open defense?
Permission to proceed?
Please.
Good morning. My name is Kavina Arpaju. My partner Meredith Amato and I have the pleasure of representing Jordan Abrams on this very important case. The defendant stands here falsely accused of causing the death of Chris Pavano in a reckless manner and under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life. At the conclusion of this case, we will ask for a verdict of not guilty. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about a person who acted out of not only self-defense, but also in defense of his children and his 80-year-old mother. Jordan Abrams is extremely remorseful that his actions cost a life, but the need to protect and defend his family in their own home was vital. From the state, you will hear that my client is a liar, reckless and indifferent to human life. This could not be further from the truth. My client's actions were not reckless. They were an act of self-defense in order to save his medically impaired mother. Moreover, the prosecution has failed to mention that none of the witnesses can agree on multiple points of the case amongst themselves. The investigation was conducted unprofessionally and any results obtained from it are unreliable. My client's future should not be compromised by the state's inconsistencies. The defense will call 3 witnesses to the stand. My client, Mr. Abrams, will show you that he did not act indifferently to human life, but acted out of the need to defend his family. My client's testimony will show you that he is extremely remorseful and only acted to defend his 80-year-old mother and his children. Mr. Abrams is also a highly skilled shooter who served his country in the military. He has the highest regard for life, and on the night in question, his actions were a result of direct and immediate threat to his family. The second witness is my client's son, Remy Abrams. He is 13 and still very much a child who went through a horrific experience on the night in question. He will testify that my client never acted aggressively against Pavano or Lucas. Lastly, we will call an expert witness, Jesse Ryan, to the stand. Ms. Ryan is an experienced, certified forensic crime reconstructionist. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now hear from our witnesses and decide whether my client has acted in a reckless manner under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life. My client is here today to testify that the resulting threat from home intruders was too large to be ignored, and Mr. Abrams did his best to secure the safety of his family members in their home. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Are you ready to proceed with your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would like to call Detective Carrie Peeler to the stand.
Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Would you please state your name and occupation for the court?
My name is Carrie Peeler. I'm a detective with the Cranberry Shores Municipal Police Department.
How does the police department deal with public disputes?
For minor disputes, we send out the Special 1 police officers. They're not allowed to carry weapons, but we do send them out for these minor things.
How has this affected relations with the defendant?
Jordan Abrams is typically dissatisfied with our work in general because she feels that we should take more attention to these minor problems she's having. We send out these Special 1 police officers, but she doesn't really like them.
And for what particular reasons have these officers been dispatched?
They've been dispatched for several reasons, such as vandalism and trespassing on Abrams' property. He believes that the surfers are mostly responsible for this, and he accused Chris Pavano as the main culprit of these crimes.
And for what reason would the defendant accuse Chris Pavano in particular of these crimes?
The whole town knew that Pavano and the defendant had sort of a rough past. Ever since Pavano had proved that Abrams was not the one who shot the legendary Ace of Clubs sniper, they've sort of had this rough patch.
So what led you to the scene of the crime?
I received a call from dispatch who had received a call from the medical alert company. They make these necklaces that people can wear around their necks, and when they press the button, it summons help.
And what did you observe upon first arriving at the scene?
I saw that there were no cars in the driveway and no lights were visible from my perspective. There was a red sticker on the door, which I knew meant that the Cranberry Shores Construction Department had not seen the repairs. They had not deemed the repairs fit for occupancy. They didn't see the house was able for anyone to live in.
So what did you do first upon arriving?
First, I approached the door, and as I was about to enter, I didn't even get a chance to ring the doorbell. I was met by Jordan Abrams. He seemed startled and appeared to have a black backpack slung over one shoulder, and as soon as he saw me, he started retreating back into the home.
And upon seeing Abrams initially, what did you do?
I immediately followed back into the home. When I was informed by one of Abrams' children that Pavano had been shot, I immediately asked who shot him. When Abrams responded, I shot him, I caught him and his gang breaking into my house. I drew my service weapon, instructed Abrams to get on the ground and drop the black backpack. I also saw the gun that was on the ground near his feet.
And what did you do next to Abrams?
I searched Abrams and I discovered that he had a cell phone in his front right pocket, which was later tested by Detective Singer and found to be fully operational. I then asked who else was in the home. When Lauren Lucas responded, I am here and Chris is on the floor. When I heard that this had come from the other room, I immediately proceeded that way with Abrams and his children.
And what did you see upon entering this room?
I observed that there was a lot of light in this room. There was an enormous chandelier that had dozens of lights on it. They had these high-hat recessed lights. They sort of go into the ceiling and provide ample amounts of light. It was way more illuminated than all of the other rooms in the home.
So what did you do upon entering this room?
I had also noticed that Chris was lying on the floor. I saw that he was injured, and I immediately began life-saving measures. As I was doing this, I noticed Candace Abrams, and the only piece of furniture in the room, it was a high-backed leather chair, just sort of sitting there and repeating something. And as I was performing life-saving measures and checking his pulse, the EMTs were just arriving.
And after the EMTs arrived, what happened?
They began life-saving measures, which were futile. He died, and while they were doing this, I performed a quick sweep, which is just a quick search of the house, and I found several items.
And what were those items?
I found 2 boxes of 9mm parabellum bullets, the same kind that the Glock 17 uses. I later counted them and discovered that 13 of the bullets were missing. I also took into account that there were 2 shell casings on the staircase, and there was a taser on top of Abrams' dresser, within arm's reach of the door. And there was also the taser instruction manual there as well.
Did you discover anything else while searching?
Yes, as I was about to leave the scene, I tested Candace Abrams' medical alert device. When I pressed the button on it labeled test, it emitted a loud beeping noise.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examinations.
Detective Peeler, you testified that the range of the taser that was found on top of Abrams' dresser was up to 35 feet, correct?
It was.
And you also testified that Abrams was standing about 30 feet from Pavano when he shot him.
He was.
So, are you saying that it is possible for a normal person to determine a distance of 35 feet within 5 feet in their head while they're in a state of shock?
Well, Abrams was trained in the field of estimating distances.
So, is that a yes or no question? It's an answer.
Yes, he would have maybe made a mistake.
Are you also saying that the same person could estimate that same distance within a very limited amount of time if they feel their family is in danger?
It's very unlikely that he would have made a mistake since he was trained like this, but it could be possible.
You admitted to having negative encounters with Abrams before the night of the shooting, correct?
They weren't necessarily negative.
Do you also admit to not investigating Abrams' previous claims of vandalism?
Actually, Detective Singer, I believe, was the one dispatched. He filed the reports, but no action was taken since we couldn't find the culprits.
Permission to approach the witness with their affidavit.
Permission granted.
This is actually the questioning of Jordan Abrams.
Okay. The question and answer.
Yes.
That's fine, you can choose.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you please read lines? I can't read this. Where is it? Line 166 to 167.
No, I was there, but I'm a police detective. I wanted to see that things didn't get out of hand. While I'm a detective, given that the Cranberry Shores is a small department, we also have occasional patrol duties.
Thank you. So you were present at a protest rally that took place at Mr. Abrams' house, correct?
To make sure that things didn't get out of hand.
So yes. You were off duty that night, correct?
A police officer is always on duty,
But you did say that you were technically off duty.
technically.
Okay. You testified that you were against the changes Abrams proposed to make on his house, correct?
I felt that the local government...
Objection, Your Honor. What is the relevance of this question to the events of the night in question?
This is to show that Detective Peeler had a bias towards Mr. Abrams.
Because the line of questioning is intending to establish bias, that is fair for cross-examination. So your objection is overruled.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you. So then would you say that you disagreed with Mr. Abrams on certain views?
Not necessarily, we just had different opinions on how the house should have been
So
maintained.
that's a no.
No.
But you did testify that you were against something that Abrams proposed.
Sort of. I mean, I felt the local government should have had
It's a yes or no
oversight.
question.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down. ready to call his next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would like to call Lauren Lucas to the stand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you. You may be seated.
Would you please state your name for the court?
My name is Lauren Lucas.
And where were you on the night of Friday, August 30th, 2013?
I was with my friends Chris Pavano, Jordan Campbell, and Graham Michaels. We were on the beach just trying to have some fun.
So what were you doing on that night?
Well, just being on the beach, getting away from our families. We really weren't doing anything wrong, just having some fun.
Where did you decide to spend that evening?
Well, since a lot of the houses on the outskirts of town were kind of abandoned and everything, we decided maybe we should just hang out there to get away from the cold.
And why did you decide to do this?
Well, a lot of kids our age at the time were deciding, well, since the houses aren't currently occupied and they're unfit to be lived in, it'd be okay if we went in to have fun.
So which house did you decide to enter?
We just decided to go to one of the bigger houses that seemed nicer and less, well, destroyed, so we would be safe inside.
So what happened when you arrived at one of these houses?
Well, Chris decided to knock on the door, so in case somebody was inside the home, even though it wasn't, nobody should have been there, just in case. He knocked just in case. And no, there was no response, so we assumed that it was okay. He tried to open the door, it didn't open. Then he let us run back, and then Greg tried to open up the back door.
So what happened after trying to open the back door?
Well, Chris picked up a broom that was just open on the ground, and he tried to nudge the door open, and while he was doing that, he actually broke the glass.
So what happened as a result of this glass shattering?
Well, all of us started laughing at Chris. He had messed up pretty bad, so we thought it was kind of hilarious. And then Dorian started to cackle, so Chris got annoyed, and he yelled at her to shut up.
So what happened after that?
Well, after Chris had yelled at Dorian to shut up, we heard a noise inside. It sounded like a voice.
And what conclusion did you draw from this voice?
Well, I kind of felt that it was more kids doing the same thing as us that night. But Chris, being the kind of kid he was, decided to go check and see if it was someone in there that needed help.
And what happened when Chris decided to check inside?
Well, he went inside, and Dorian followed him and ran to the bathroom. And when he wasn't, the rest of us kind of followed after Dorian went in when we saw that it was probably nothing major. We saw an old lady with a little reading light on and a huge chandelier in the room. And after Chris realized that the old lady was okay, he turned to leave, and Gray went to turn on the lights to make sure there was nobody else in the room that could possibly ambush us. We heard, pow! And then I saw my best friend fall to the floor.
And what happened after Pavana was shot?
Well, the old lady started to freak out. She was just sitting there. She kind of did nothing else after that. But I looked up to the stairs and I saw Jordan start to come down some. And then Dorian came out of the bathroom, saw Chris on the ground, and then she screamed and bolted out of the house.
And what events followed Dorian's escape?
Well, after Dorian ran out, Jordan kind of made it to the middle step and shot off another shot into the air. And after he shot the shot off, he kind of brought the gun down and had it pointed at me and Gray. His kids came out and were in front of him, and Gray took advantage of the fact that everyone was distracted and bolted out of the house as well, leaving me and the dead body of my best friend Chris lying on the floor.
Have you had any previous encounters with the defendant in the past?
Yeah, he would always yell at us for being on the beach outside of his house, even though it was a public beach. And he got to the point for a lot of the kids that served around his house that we nicknamed him Major Pain because of how much aggravation he has caused us.
And what events have transpired between your group of friends and the defendant?
Well, Chris was the one that kind of called the newspapers out on her being the one that shot the Ace clubs. And it was kind of apparent that he didn't.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, counsel. Cross-examination.
Miss Lucas, would you say that you had a good relationship with Mr. Pavano?
Yeah.
Okay. You said that Chris had just recently started skirting with you, correct?
He did.
Permission to approach the witness with their affidavit?
Yes.
Would you please read lines 85 through 87?
Doreen was like, she had made a beeline to the bathroom and didn't even see Chris get killed. She came out and screamed when she saw Chris lying there bleeding and must have run out the front door. It's kind of ironic how the one person who came up with the skirting idea, got away, and then the last one on board got killed for it.
And would you also please read line 239?
I don't know what they knew or thought. We were just following Chris. Chris was the one who were very confident. People would follow him anywhere.
Thank you. So in that line, you're blaming Chris, correct?
No, I'm not.
But you're naming him as the ringleader of the little adventure you embarked on that night.
I just said he was the leader. I never said he was the ringleader.
Do you consider yourself a trustworthy person?
I am.
Are you aware that Detective Peeler testified that on the night of the shooting, he didn't need a jacket?
Objection, Your Honor. How would my witness know that? That is completely outside of their scope of knowledge, as according to Rule 602.
I am asking because I'm trying to prove that the witness entered in for a reason that they are lying because of a reason that they entered the home.
We think the question is fair. You're not inquiring too deeply into what was said. You're just inquiring as to whether this witness is aware that they were wearing the coat at the time. So we're going to overrule the objection. You can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So are you aware that Detective Peeler testified he didn't need a jacket the night of the shooting?
Well, he hadn't just gotten out of the water, so that kind of really would have mattered.
And you testified that you entered Abram's house because you were cold, correct?
I never said I was cold. Gray was cold. We kind of dared him to use the water, so he was kind of.
Well, someone said that they were cold, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you admit to illegally entering Mr. Abram's house as well as other homes in the past?
I mean, the other homes weren't really illegal.
Is that a yes or no question?
It was only the one home that was illegally entered into.
Do you admit that you entered Mr. Abram's home without his consent?
Yes.
And you also admit that Chris forcefully entered Mr. Abram's home by breaking the sliding glass door?
He didn't mean to. It was all accidental.
Yes or no?
He didn't mean to. So no, he didn't purposely break the door to get inside.
But did he forcefully enter by breaking the door?
Accidentally, yes.
No further questions.
Thank you. Is there any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then the witness may step down. You may call your next witness.
The state would like to call to the stand Detective Jerry Singer.
Jerry Singer, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Hi. Can you please state your name and occupation for the court?
I'm Detective Jerry Singer, Detective of the Metropolitan County Prosecutor's Office. I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1995, and I've been a police officer ever since. I was assigned to the Detective Bureau in 2005, 8 years ago.
What are your qualifications as it pertains to this position?
I'm a certified firearms and tool mark examiner. I have training experience in various weaponry, including the mechanical operations of semi-automatic pistols. I am also a certified blood spatter expert and crime scene recreation expert. As most of my testimony today will be highly technical, I'll do my best to say it in plain speak for the court.
Your Honor, I'd like to have this witness admitted as an expert in their field.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so moved. You may proceed.
Now, why were you called out to the crime scene?
I'm the only expert in firearms identification and crime scene investigations at the Metropolitan County Prosecutor's Office. I received a call for the murder while I was sleeping. It was no trouble arriving, however, because I lived nearby. I arrived 15 minutes after a perimeter was established.
What did you do at the crime scene?
I secured the scene and took in any evidence relevant to the case.
Can you please describe the scene for the court?
The living room was well lit due to the moonlight shining into the enormous windows. There was a chair facing the staircase. Along on that staircase, there were 2 shell casings found. There was also a broom handle rested where Pavano was murdered. The back door had been shattered, and there was a bullet hole in the ceiling.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach the witness with Exhibit S6.
You may proceed to show to counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Do you recognize this document?
Yes,
What is it?
my property report of inventory items taken from the owner.
And is this as you prepared it?
Yes.
Wait. What items were taken onto evidence in the night in question?
I took a black backpack, also known as the bug-out bag, the defendant's cell phone, a Glock 17 used to murder the decedent, Chris Pavano, a taser instruction pamphlet, and an abundance of 4 knives and 5 guns.
What was inside of this black bag?
A Swiss Army knife, water purification tablets, a black ski mask, 3 MREs, which are military surplus meals ready to eat, a canteen, a first aid kit, and a flashlight.
Thank you. Where were the spent shell casings collected from?
I collected them on the middle step, along with a board above that step.
How did you ascertain that it was the Glock 17 that was used to murder Chris?
I test fired the gun. The bullets fell to the left, just like at the scene, about a similar distance away too. The bullets in Pavano and the bullets I test fired were both consistent of 9mm bullets fired by the Glock.
In your expert opinion, where did the defendant shoot Chris from?
I can conclude, in a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the defendant fired from the middle step. The shell casings were found on the middle step, which lined up with my recreation. There was also a bullet hole above the middle step, and the defendant stated that they fired into the ceiling.
Now, what is the distance between this middle step and where Chris was shot?
The vertical distance from the first floor to the defendant is about 15 feet. The horizontal distance from here to Pavano is about 25 feet.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Cross-examination? Please.
Miss Singer, did you work your usual shift from 800 hours to 1600 hours, a full 8 hours on August 30th, 2013?
That is correct.
Were you sleeping when this call came in for the Pavano murder?
That is correct.
Is it possible that your investigation was compromised by your lack of rest?
No.
Did you gain nationwide attention for your testimony on the ship's case, where you gained accolades?
That is correct.
Did the state ultimately lose the case for which you provided forensic evidence on?
Okay. Objection, Your Honor. In terms of Rule 402, this is irrelevant to the case at hand.
I do believe it's relevant because it is a case that regards her scientific evidence on trajectory and shooter reconstruction, and this is the only thing that she provided in her testimony that gave us proof that she is a forensic expert.
So are you asking her the result of the ship's case is evidence of her competence or incompetence?
Yes, her competence.
Your Honor, I'd like to point
Please.
out it is not in question whether or not this is an expert witness. This has been stipulated and accepted by both sides.
We
feel because the expert has been moved and accepted as a witness by the court, her qualifications are no longer in question.
Okay.
So we're going to sustain the objection. You can have that testimony stricken and you can proceed.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you receive a call to head to the Abrams residence on August 30th, 2013 at about 21:30 hours?
That is correct.
Did you arrive 15 minutes late?
After a perimeter was established.
With your honor permission, permission to proceed to the witness with Detective Peeler's testimony?
You may. Show your opposing counsel.
May I ask what lines you plan to refer to?
5 through 6. Yes. Here to here.
All right, thank you.
Would you mind reading lines 5 through 6 please?
At 21:45 hours on August 30th, 2013, I received a call from dispatch to respond to 111 Ocean Drive for a call from the Medical Alert Company. While I'm a detective with Cranberry Shores Municipal Police Department in plain clothes, I was driving a marked patrol car as the department is small. While the department has additional temporary special police eye officers during the summer months, these officers usually drive bicycles or three-wheeled carts you see on the boardwalks.
To clarify, you arrived at the scene at 21:45, the same time that Detective Peeler, the first person to get dispatched, got the call to get to the scene.
That is correct.
So from both your testimony and Detective Peeler's testimony, we can establish that both timelines are inconsistent.
That is correct.
Can you confirm that the bullet recovered from Favano's body was consistent with the 9mm bullet?
Yes.
To clarify, you confirm that a deformed bullet inside the body was consistent with a 9mm bullet?
Yes.
From your investigation with scientific proof, were you able to conclude that Mr. Abrams shot from the middle of the staircase?
I'm an expert and I can conclude this.
Permission to show the witness her testimony?
Permission granted.
Would you mind reading lines 121 to 124 for the jury?
From his or her position on the stairwell, Abrams would have aimed about 30 degrees downward to shoot Pavano. Likewise, however, had Abrams fired from the middle of the steps, it would have been at a downward angle of 30 degrees. Therefore, it is impossible to tell whether Pavano was shot from the top of the steps or from a lower step, as he or she claims, from examination of the angle of the entrance into Chris Pavano's back.
To clarify, in your testimony, you admitted that it is impossible to tell where Pavano was shot.
That is correct.
No further questions.
Thank you, counsel. Attorney redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Aside from the angle, what other evidence did you use to determine the shot came from the middle step?
The vertical distance.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Attorney recross. The witness may step down. Does the state have a third witness to call? Or
No.
any other witnesses? I'm sorry, that was the third one.
No, Your Honor. In addition, the state would like to move Exhibit S6 into evidence.
No objection?
No objection.
Okay, the state rests, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to begin its case in chief?
Yes.
Let me call your first witness, please.
We would like to call Jordan Abrams. Testify.
promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Sorry. That's okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, it was in the
Okay, there you go.
Mr. Abrams, how did Superstorm Sandy affect your quality of life?
It affected us in
Objection, Your Honor. General relevance, Rule 402.
Well,
What does Superstorm Sandy's impact on this individual's life have to do with whether or not they shot Chris Pavano out of, well, murderous intent?
because Chris Pavano entered his house while the house was doing renovations, I think it does have a Super Sandy was the one that caused the renovations.
Maybe you can rephrase the question instead of asking how it affected his quality of life. You may, I think your question is how it affected the home?
Yes.
The house?
How did it affect the home?
It affected our homes in a major way. And especially since local surfer kids would go into the abandoned homes and vandalize them. I don't think someone should come up to your livelihood like that.
Were you aware of the damages on the house?
I was aware.
Can you describe the events that led up to the shooting?
We returned home around 8 o'clock from the boardwalk, and we went to bed because we were all very tired. And then moments later, while I was asleep, we heard what sounded like glass breaking. So I moved out into the hall, and of course, the first thing I wanted to do was check on my kids, and they were all right. So I proceeded to the banister, and I looked over and saw my mom resting peacefully. And I thought, like, we're so lucky that she's still alive with us. So I went back to my room, and by this point, I was holding a weapon, the Glock 17, because I just thought there was an intruder in my house. But since there was not, I laid it back on the dresser and went back to sleep.
Can you tell us about the security of the house that night?
All the doors and windows were completely shut and locked. There was no damage to the sliding door which the intruders entered in later.
As the night progressed, what happened to the site? Can you describe what happened when Pavano and his friends intruded into your home?
I was awoken to the sound of my mother. She's an old woman and she was yelling, begging for her life. She was yelling things like, "Please don't hurt me."
So I have an objection, Your Honor. This is hearsay in accordance with Rule 802.
Response, please?
This is describing why he was woken up, why this led up to the shooting. And I think it's very relevant because without his mother being woken up, he would have to defend his mother.
What is your response to the hearsay? You're objecting to the statements the mother made that the witness
Yes,
is
Your Honor.
repeating. Right. Do you have a response specifically to those statements?
Yes, it's an exception.
Okay.
Those statements describe, those statements correlate with Remy Abrams' testimony, and those statements basically help statements help because they're an exception to hearsay because they are the reason why Mr. Abrams had to go out.
The testimony that the witness is offering about what his mother said isn't being offered for its truth, but being offered for his present sense impression of the scene, and so we will overrule the objection and you can continue with your question.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh no, I have plenty more to say. What would have occurred if you had given the intruder time to get in between you and your mother?
If I waited any longer, the intruder would have gotten between with my mother, and the bullet would have overpenetrated and hit them both.
Did you check for Pavano's vital signs?
I first came down the steps, and I surveyed the situation, and then I went over and checked his vital signs and determined that he was already dead and that life-saving procedures weren't necessary.
Thank you. That is all.
Thank you. Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, just to confirm, on the night of August 30th, 2013, you did shoot Chris Pavano, fatally wounding him?
Yes, I did.
Now, on this same night, you mistook what he had was a broomstick. You mistook this for a rifle, is that correct?
Yes, threatening my family member, yes.
You're a trained ex-Air Force sniper, correct?
I am.
And part of this training included range estimation?
Yes, but this was much closer than I've ever dealt with.
So you find it easier to estimate long ranges over short ones?
Yes, because I'm trained to use my scope for long distances. And I had no scope in this case.
So you can't estimate range without a scope?
Yes, it helps a lot.
Anyway, you estimate the distance in your home to be about 25 feet, is that correct?
That is correct.
And also in your interview with Detective Peeler, you state that you believe the range of your taser to be about 25 feet.
That is correct.
When you approached the intruders, you elected to keep the lights off, didn't you?
I made no motion either way.
But in not doing so, though, you kept the lights off, right?
By not turning the lights on, I kept the lights off, yeah.
But when you went to bed, you said you'd leave a light on for your mother?
Yes, I did.
So a light was left on?
I assume so.
And the room was also being illuminated by moonlight.
I don't think so.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach the witness with their statement.
Thank you.
Can you please read line 121 aloud for the court?
The only light in the room was provided by the moon through floor-to-ceiling windows.
Thank you. So there was, in fact, moonlight in the room.
Yes, in fact there was. I'm sorry, it was very traumatic.
And this illumination was enough for you to identify your mother?
Yes, it's obviously
And
the
enough
old
to see
woman.
that she was sleeping?
I'm sorry, at what point?
At the point where you went to check on them, the moonlight was enough for you to determine that she was sleeping, correct?
Yes, no, she was snoring. It had nothing to do with moonlight.
Now, you are aware of the recent rash of break-ins in your neighborhood.
Yes, I am.
And these commonly happen in unoccupied homes?
Yes, they do.
Your home was not certified as, or marked as certified to live in, is that correct?
Yes, but I work in the construction industry. I know about homes and their repairs.
But the mark on the house said it wasn't certified, is that correct?
Yes, it was.
So that means your house is a very potential target for skirting, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Now, the alarm system in your house, that was not functioning on the night in question?
It was not.
And your mother was concerned. She expressed this concern to you?
She did.
And you just told her to stop worrying, isn't that right?
Yes, she's not very level-headed.
But wasn't she aware the alarm wasn't working?
Yes, she was, but she's an old lady. She forgets what she had for breakfast yesterday, so I don't think we can trust what she said.
But you weren't concerned about the alarm?
No, I wasn't.
Now, you've met Chris, the person you've murdered, in person, correct?
Yes, I have.
And you believe that it's him who's been graffitiing your house?
I have suspicions.
You reported this to the police?
I did.
You dissatisfied with the police's work?
I am. I feel like there was a bias against me.
Now, you also feel that when the surfers used a public beach behind your house, that's intruding on your property?
Yes, because we all have a right to enjoy the beach, and when I fish, they're scaring away the fish.
They ruin your fishing?
They do.
And you suspect that Chris and his friends had previously broken into your house?
No.
sorry. Now, the local newspaper falsely accredited you with killing the terrorist sniper, the Ace of Clubs, is that correct?
Yes, it did.
And it was Chris who made this correction
To me?
to the newspaper.
I'm not sure what Chris did to the newspaper.
So you don't think, let me rephrase that. Was it Chris who made it publicly known that you did not kill the Ace of Clubs?
Yes, he angrily confronted me at a town council meeting about it.
And you state that this, and I quote, annoyed you?
I was not annoyed.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with their statement?
Yes.
Now, this 401. This is a section from your sworn interview with Detective Pure. Could you please read line 401 aloud for the court?
I was annoyed. If I had been upset, everyone would have known it. He was a jerk.
So you were annoyed, and you do think he's a jerk.
I might have said that in a rash of anger.
So do you let your anger control your actions?
Absolutely not. I'm in the military. We have to keep a cool head.
But didn't you just use that to justify your actions?
This was moments later in a police holding room.
So mere moments, wouldn't that be approximately the length of time it took you to shoot the intruder?
No, this was a long time after.
What I'm suggesting here is that mere moments after, you made a statement based on your anger, is that correct?
Yes.
And also mere moments after seeing the intruders, you took the shot, is that correct?
But we can't compare shooting someone and having a conversation with somebody.
You'd agree it's much more emotional, wouldn't you?
Shooting somebody?
Yes.
Yes.
And did you, at any point over the course of this night, call 911?
I instructed my son to.
Did he?
I'm not sure what he did.
You entrusted calling 911 for a dying person to a 13-year-old that had just witnessed a shooting, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
All right. Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Is there redirect?
Yes. Permission to proceed?
Please.
Yes.
Can you describe moments before you shot Chris Pavano for us, please?
Well, I was awoken to the sound of what seemed like my mother begging for her life. She was in dire need for assistance, so I got up from my bed and grabbed the first thing I saw, which happened to be the Glock 17, and I moved out into the hallway, looked over the railing, and saw what seemed like 4 figures, who I couldn't identify, surrounding my mom. I mean, one of them seemed to be holding a rifle, so at that moment, there was no time to think. I needed to shoot that man before he shot my mom.
Did you ever claim to make the killing shot that killed Ace of Clubs?
I've never made any claim either way about that.
Permission to approach the witness with Joint Exhibit 1?
I have an objection, Your Honor. This document is marked.
Oh,
Time.
okay.
Your objection is that there are markings on the document that weren't
Yes.
included in the original?
Yes.
Do you have a copy that is not marked up?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you call time
This
after
is
the objection?
Yes, I did, just after he,
Just
yes,
after?
so there's like a.
Okay.
Now, which
Okay.
lines
So
are
we'll
you
rule on the
I'm going
objection.
to be referring to
At least
lines,
that's my memory of it.
sorry, lines 57.
Those aren't on this document.
They're on this document, right? They're on this document. Because it's a joint exhibit, will we be allowed to use yours?
We don't have one with us.
Okay, so Counselor, the markings on the
Actually,
document that you...
yes, we do.
Okay. Just so that we're clear, the objection is that there were markings on the documents. As long as there is a document copy that you can use without markings, that objection will be withdrawn, Counsel?
Yes, as long as there's an unmarked document.
All right, and then I believe there's a few seconds left in your time.
Okay.
Once the objection is...
Wait, is it over there?
Okay, you know
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Terrible.
okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Wait, here it is.
Okay.
Could you please read lines 57 to 56?
Don't be a hero and know what you're called for. If I can protect my family, the family I've left, without confronting any danger, so much the better.
I have an objection, Your Honor. This exceeds the scope of cross.
Can you elaborate?
Well, at no point did we talk about, what are we referring to, actually? We've not-
Let
There's
me
documents.
clarify. It was redirect, and the purpose of redirect was you were providing him the exhibit to refresh his recollection or to...
To refresh his recollection on his testimony on
You tune. Okay, we're gonna grant your objection because I think it is beyond the scope of what you did on cross-examination, so the jury will disregard that last bit of testimony.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And then,
And time has been called.
time has been called. Is there any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and this witness may step down. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. And is the defense ready to call another witness?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We would like to call to the stand Remy Abrams.
Okay. Give me a
You have to
second.
tell the truth, the
Please.
whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I did.
Please proceed.
Sure.
Does your father practice gun safety?
Yes, he always makes sure our guns have the safety on and are unloaded when we can.
Were you okay after Savannah was shot?
I mean, how could I be? There was someone dead on the floor of my own house.
Can you explain what happened when your father gave you the signal to get on the ground during the Savannah shooting?
I saw a long object in Chris's hands, and I was really worried for Nana, and I kept thinking about it.
Do you see a psychologist?
Yes, I've been seeing him ever since my mom died.
Have you ever felt unwelcome in Cranberry?
Objection, Your Honor, this is a leading question. Is asking for a yes or no answer and is providing the answer to the witness. Please. Rule 611.
Permission to rephrase?
Grant?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can you tell us about your experience in Cranberry?
We're not treated very well by the locals. The worst was when this July a biplane flew down our beach, the type that has banners with messages on them, saying, "Forget sandcastles, save our dunes." That was a swipe at us, at our Abrams sandcastle.
Okay, thank you, Counsel. Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are 15 years old, correct?
Yes.
And you were 13 on the night of the incident 2 years ago, correct?
Yes.
And you can confirm that you are the son of Jordan Abrams.
Yes.
Now, the defendant has said to you in the past that they enjoy disputing with the local Hicks. Do I have that correct?
Yes, you do.
And your parent Abrams is in possession of various forms of weaponry. Is that correct?
Yes, but I don't see how that's related.
And among the forms of weaponry, there is a taser, correct?
Yes.
A taser that was not used on the night in question, correct?
Yes, but it was a very high-risk situation.
Which was opted to use instead of a less lethal weapon, correct?
Yes, but it was very very tense. He just chose the first weapon he saw.
But a taser was available, correct?
Yes, it was.
Now, you have consumed brandy in the past, correct?
On several occasions, yes.
So you do admit that you have consumed brandy multiple times, correct?
Yes, never at the same time though.
And you went to sleep at 10 p.m., correct?
I was trying to fall asleep at the time, yes.
But you were not asleep, correct?
No, I was having my favorite daydream. I hadn't fallen asleep yet.
You heard a shot from within your room, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you have also stated that you witnessed the shot that killed Pavano, correct?
Yes, I did, but it was
And you agree that these two statements contradict each other, as the killing shot of Pavano was the first shot, which you could not have seen while still in bed, correct?
Yes, when I was making my testimony, it was a very traumatic situation.
And you would agree that Chris Pavano has very distinctive, bright green, bushy hair?
I would, yes.
Which could easily be identified?
I mean, not in the middle of the dark, I don't think.
But you would agree that it's very recognizable?
Yes.
And did your parent have a cell phone on them?
Yes, they did.
So after taking the shot, they didn't think to call the police before the police had arrived on their own?
He had his phone in his hand when the police rang on the doorbell, and I don't know what he was going to use it for. He could have been using it to call the police.
But the police were never called, correct?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, counsel. Is there any redirect?
Yes. Are you adopted?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on your discussions with your psychologist on your biological parents, please?
Yes, sometimes I daydream that.
Objection. This goes beyond the scope of cross with Rule 611.
I do believe you asked if Jordan Abrams was his father, so I believe it's okay.
I think in response to one of your questions on cross, the daydream was mentioned, and the counsel's asking about that daydream and about the relationship with the father. It's fair game for redirect.
Thank you.
So we'll rule that objection. Yes.
So, yeah, sometimes I like to think that my mother didn't tell my father that she was pregnant and just put us up for adoption so as not to shame her rich, high society family. Dr. Pan says that I do this type of daydreaming as a way of striking out.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may step down. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there any recross?
No,
I'm
you're
sorry. Okay. Does the defense have a third witness to call?
We do have a thing.
Yes, the defense would like to call Jesse Ryan to the stand.
And do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you. You may be seated.
Could you briefly introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jesse Ryan. I am a forensic crime scene reconstructionist.
What does your job entail?
I go to a scene and I reconstruct it to see, to the best of my ability, how the crime scene unraveled.
What education do you have?
I first got my degree at Monmouth University for criminal justice, and then I went to the John Jay College of Criminal Justice to get my degree in forensic science.
How do you treat evidence?
I treat evidence as its own individual piece and of equal value.
Have you ever testified in self-defense cases before?
I did. I recently defended in the Ships case against Detective Singer, and unfortunately they lost. So much for something we before.
Your Honor, I would like to admit Jesse Ryan as an expert witness.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So admitted. That's easy.
What did you observe during your investigation of the Abrams residence?
When I went to the Abrams residence, I observed that the sliding glass door was shattered, and there was minute fragments on the broom and on the carpet, and there was also prints on the broom as it was held as a weapon.
Was anything else found during your investigation?
I found that there was the FCCs were displaced, and no.
Do you believe any mistakes were made by the original team that investigated?
Yes, I believe they were wrong when it came to the FCCs because they could have been displaced when they walked down after being shot. I believe that the bullet was wrong in Detective Singer's testimony because it's not possible to tell if the shot was with a 9mm bullet because it was so messed up when it went through his ribcage. And they were also wrong when it came to the spray can because he never fingerprinted it, and when I fingerprinted it, Detective Singer's fingerprints were on it.
Were any other fingerprints found on the spray paint can?
Yes, but they were not able to be considered.
Based on your expert opinion, what do you believe happened on the night of August 30th, 2013?
On August 30th, 2013, I believe with my expert opinion that Jordan Abrams took one fired shot against an allegedly armed intruder from the top of the stairs.
Was the living room completely lit the night Abrams shot Pavano?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. In your testimony, you state that you rarely agree with Detective Singer. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that you personally would not rely on Detective Singer at all?
Yes.
But you agree with Singer concerning the shot into the ceiling. Is that correct?
Yes, but he took the piece of ceiling, so I couldn't actually get a measurement on it, so I had to rely on him to get it.
But you did agree with his examination of it?
Yes, I had.
And you also agree with his examination of the entrance wound?
No, because it was so deformed that you can't use it.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach the witness with their statement.
You may do so. Show it to counsel, please.
Would you please read lines 116 through 118 aloud to the court?
While I rarely agree with Detective Singer's conclusions, I do agree that the examination of the entrance wound and trajectory of the bullet cannot tell us whether Jordan Abrams was standing at the top of the stairs or on the lower step of the stairwell for reasons stated by Detective Singer in her report.
So let me ask that again. Did you or did you not agree with the examination of the entrance wound?
I do.
Your inspection was conducted an entire month later, is that correct?
Yes.
So you're working on the assumption that the broomstick and the glass and the house in general have been left undisturbed for a month.
I had to reconstruct it to the best of my ability with police reports.
But this time span is present,
Yes.
and that does create an element of doubt.
Yes.
Now, as for testing the Glock, you tested your shot on a dummy of unchanging consistency, is that correct?
Yes.
And you would agree that ribs are harder than, say, skin or organs?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to approach the witness with Exhibit S7.
You may do so.
I'll be referring to lines 10 through 13.
Okay.
Please read lines 10 through 13 of the medical autopsy.
The bullet entered directly into his left alveoli of his left pectoral muscle and was extracted from intestine and left lung, where it had lodged and was saved from examination by the firearms and tool marker examiner Detective Singer. Intestine root was broken from the bullet behind the pectoral muscle, which undoubtedly slowed the bullet so that it lodged in the lung and did not exit or even hit any rear rib.
Thank you. So according to your simulation, the bullet could have penetrated Chris, correct?
Yes.
But in reality, it did not.
I guess.
So your simulation was flawed.
No.
So it didn't depict reality, but it's not flawed.
No.
And finally, you say that Remy Abrams' description of the night is, and I quote, in total alignment with your reconstruction?
That is correct.
Right, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Ms. Ryan, even though a month had passed since the shooting, do you believe you were able to create an accurate report?
Absolutely.
Objection, Your Honor. This is a leading question. The attorney is supplying the answer for the witness.
Permission to rephrase my question. Yes. How do you feel you were able to create your report?
I believe I had full extent to create it to the best of my ability using a police report.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, the witness may step down. Does the defense have any other witnesses that it wishes to?
No, Your Honor, the defense
Proceed.
rests.
Actually, would we be able to put, carry Detective Jerry Singer's testimony into evidence?
The testimony he gave here or his prior the prior testimony?
Yes.
Which exhibit number is it?
That is exhibit number D1.
D1. Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor. In addition, can we move any exhibits into evidence at this time?
Yes, we can, all the exhibits that have been marked, identified, and used with the witnesses will be deemed admitted as of this time.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. We will now take a 5-minute break. As I said before, if you're going to have any need to discuss anything outside of the hallway, please do that, and the teams can proceed to prepare their closings. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Family may be the single most important part of a person's entire life. Family is there for support and love, and I'd like to think that we would do anything to keep them safe. That is exactly what Jordan Abrams did the night a group of teenagers broke into his house. He saw a black, rifle-like object pointed at his frail, elderly mother. The prosecution has tried to convince you that Jordan knowingly and willingly shot Pavano that night because of a few past skirmishes. Evidence has been brought forward by the prosecution from an expert who has admitted to not checking every single surface for fingerprints. I ask you, is that professional? Their detective has admitted to being present at a protest rally held at the Abrams residence while off duty and having negative views regarding choices that Abram made to change his house. Also, the expert and detective are unable to even agree on a time during the investigation. Their final witness has admitted to lying to authorities and has been proven to be a trespasser, even throwing their deceased friend under the bus to protect herself. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, would you trust the prosecution? I surely wouldn't. Also, they have also brought forward the fact that Jordan Abrams was not a perfect father, but who is? And also, if Jordan was such a bad person, why is his son defending him today? Plus, Remy Abrams was just a traumatized child at the time. Finally, I ask you, members of the jury, to remember something while you are deliberating. I ask you to remember that Jordan Abrams was in a state of fear and shock the night of the shooting. I also ask you to think about what you would have done if you were in Jordan's situation. If you believed that your family was in mortal danger, please do your duty and find the defendant not guilty. If there is even one single flaw in the prosecution's case, you must find the defendant, Mr. Jordan Abrams, not guilty. Thank you for your time and patience.
Thank you, counsel. Is the state ready to close?
Yes, Your Honor. Today you've heard the pleas of, my mother was in danger. She wasn't in danger. I was defending my family from a couple of kids who maybe had a beer with them. They intruded on my home that they presumed was unoccupied. You know what these all are? These are emotional appeals. And in a court of law, we're here to talk about facts. What are the facts? This was murder. Jordan Abrams, the defendant, has a long history with the decedent, Chris Pavano. The defendant suspects Chris of graffitiing his house, thinks he ruined his fishing, which he thought was so important he brought it up in a courtroom. They think he intrudes on his property by using a public beach. And probably most egregious of all, he corrected the local newspaper about his crowning achievement. The ace of clubs kill wasn't his anymore. So what happened this night? Jordan Abrams heard a crash in their house. Suspecting intruders, they grabbed a weapon. Which weapon did they opt for? Non-lethal taser, as testified by Detective Peeler, right next to the door on the dresser. Box 17. I think we all know which one she went for. Sorry. He went out to the stairs, didn't turn the light on so it wouldn't mess up any fun he could be having, and then he spotted down at the bottom of the stairs. The moonlight coming in through the windows, as well as the light left on for the defendant's mother, provided ample light to identify who was down there. In addition, Chris had distinct big green hair, making it very easy to identify. Wanting to get a better look, though, the defendant slunk even closer, all the way down to the middle step, before they decided to take their shot without warning. He had a chance to get rid of the local pest, the local thorn in his side, the kid ruining all his beach time fun. He took that shot. He wasn't going to miss a chance to take it. What has the defense presented to refute this? They've got expert testimony by Jesse Ryans, who had to admit that even though their simulation was flawed, or no, that it was incorrect, it wasn't flawed. This is your expert witness here. We have Remy, who can't even correctly recall what happened in the situation. They heard a shot in their room, the first shot, the killing shot. Then they ran out, and then they saw the shot again. I can't believe quite that Remy's a time traveler, so something tells me something is wrong with this story. And finally, we have the defendant himself as a witness. Well, we've all heard how much they have to deal with Pavano, how he's annoying and a jerk, and how he's ruining the fishing. Abrams, also trained in range estimation, estimated the ranges in their house to be 25 feet, and the range of a taser to be 25 feet. Also mistook a broomstick, able to identify their mother and 4 intruders, but a broomstick looks like a rifle from the middle step. Is that even reasonable? This brings us to the counts. The first and foremost count is murder. The defendant, Jordan Abrams, on this night was not acting to defend their family, but acting to murder an innocent. Doing this, that brings us to the fourth count. Using a weapon unlawfully. This weapon, Mr. Abrams doesn't have a license to kill. Let's just say that much. So this weapon was used unlawfully. And the final count, Abrams did not at any point, nor did anybody in that house, barring the elderly grandmother, or mother in Abrams' case, didn't call the police. Abrams didn't call the police, told Remy to do it. Remy didn't call the police. This is in their own admittance, not calling the police, failure to report a death. This count hasn't even been refuted. If you find the charge to be less than murder, well, then there's also reckless manslaughter and aggravated manslaughter. For that, I direct your attention to the taser. Given the choice between a lethal option and a non-lethal option, Abrams went for the lethal option, showing a gross dereliction for the value of life. Even though they knew the range was 25 feet, and they estimated the range of the taser to be 25 feet, even though it was actually 10 feet longer. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what happened tonight is very clear and plain to see. This is a cold-hardened killer who saw a chance to make their lives a little better, and they didn't care who they had to kill to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Objection, Your Honor. Mischaracterization of witness testimony. He says that it's ample amount of, wait one sec. He says, oh right, sorry. It's the shooting, he says that it was unlawfully shooted, but the case states that shooting in self-defense of others is not considered unlawful.
Okay, and the objection is that it's his argument. It is argument, counsel. So we're going to have to overrule the objection because it is closing arguments, and that's where you're entitled to make those convincing statements to the jury. Thank you. At this point, we will send the jury to deliberate. You have been charged. You know what your instructions are, and then co-judge and I will tally our score sheets and determine who prevailed in the round. Okay?
And are you're going to?
Yeah, we're going to go out.
All rise, please.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Call to order.
Court is called to order. Please be seated.
Members of the jury, have you reached a verdict? Okay. And what is your verdict?
Guilty on all charges.
Guilty on all charges? Yes. Thank you. Mr. Abrams, the sheriff will be in to take you away very soon.
I'm sorry, Jordan.
Well, congratulations to both of you. We have calculated the scores and we have determined a winner of this round, and the winner of this round is the state of New Jersey. So you've won both on the substance as well as the points. And we congratulate both teams. We think you both did an excellent job. We can see the amount of work that you put into this and how your hearts were in it, I could really tell. We appreciate that effort. And we'll be happy to meet with the team separately to give you some positive, some feedback and some stuff that you can take forward and use in the future. And you want to say in the general?
Just to echo what Jacqueline has said, you both put a lot of work into your presentations today. This isn't easy, but you have risen to the challenge, both of you, and hopefully we'll be able to provide you with some feedback that you can learn and grow from, because this is a growing experience. They don't call it the practice of law for nothing. So good job to everyone, and good luck.
Yeah. Thank you for your hard work. All right. So Judge Kozar will meet with the state, and I'll meet with